Hi, I'm Tim Roble, and welcome to another episode of Adventure Athlete. Today I want to share with you my experience and hopefully prevent you from having trouble with your KTM fuel-injected motorcycle. So this is my 2017 450 XCF, and it is registered street legal. And this is what I call my one bike concept. I use this bike for everything from riding trials, extreme enduro cross, dual sport, and some adventure touring. And I even do some motorcycle guide work with this motorcycle. So the bike's got 71.3 hours on it from the hour meter. And I've done nothing on the fuel injection system to keep it clean. So I'll share with you, I did a 2-day trials event, and on Saturday I got up, started the bike up, it fired up perfect, and went and did this event and rode really well. The bike ran really well. Towards the end of the day on the third loop, like section 8 or 9, there's 10 sections in a loop, I started noticing kind of like a little bit of fade of power. I thought maybe it was just my head. Maybe the bike was getting a little loaded up. You know, you come up with all these weird things in your head like, yeah, you know, maybe things are just playing with me. But anyway, ended up riding really well and took third against the trials guys that day. And let the bike sit overnight. It was cold overnight, so it dropped down into like the 30, I think 38 or 39 degrees. So when I got up in the morning, I have a certain start sequence that I always use for this bike. And it's just being a mechanical guy, I don't want to excessively run the starter. So what I do is I push the start button just briefly, and then I let the fuel pump prime. And then usually I come right back up. I don't use a choke. I push the button, and the bike fires. And it's always been a wonderful starter. It's done real well with battery. I've put a Western Power Sports battery in it, and I'm on my second year with that, and had great luck. But Sunday morning, I went and registered. I came back, put my loop card on, and I hit my button, heard everything prime. Then I pushed the starter button. I pushed the starter button for probably 6, maybe 8 seconds, which is kind of excessive. I thought, wow, that's weird. So I came back down here, and sometimes every once in a while, someone will come and push this button and separate this a little bit. And this is your quick disconnect to take the tank off or to disconnect your fuel line. I checked that. It was in. So I went back up, tried to start the bike again. I thought, well, maybe because it was so cold, I need the choke. So trying to reason with myself because the event's getting ready to start. I pull the choke out, crank on it another, 8 or 9 seconds. I thought, this is getting so excessive. Is this thing going to run? Now, I do run a recluse in it, so I know there's not going to be an option to bump start it unless I take the setting out of the recluse and make it just go back to manual clutch. But if you notice, I've removed my clutch lever, and I only use a left-hand rear brake. So all of this was kind of going against me. Finally, I got the motorcycle to fire. And I thought, okay, well, I don't know what that was all about. Maybe I have a dirty air filter because I switched to a brand new air filter before the event. Tore my last one cleaning it. Usually for all my bikes, I have, I don't know, anywhere from 3 to 5 air filters because, on an adventure tour, if it's a 3-day event, I take 3 filters. I put a brand new filter on every night. Don't worry about trying to clean stuff. On this bike, I've only done that... I don't think I've actually had this bike out now that I think about it for a tour. I had the bike, but I didn't go take it on the tour. I rode my old EXC. Long story short, got it running, went through the event, and I noticed that I'm having problems, just a little bit of fumbly, and it's a little hard starting, and then I noticed the idle. I run the idle on the bike a little high because of the recluse, and it just makes it just a little bit more touchy, and it'll engage going down a downhill, which I like. So that high idle helps out. Notice the idle's lower. Maybe I probably run somewhere around 1200 RPMs, and maybe the idle's dropped down to 1000, which causes that recluse to act in a different way. So once again, I'm trying to reason with myself. Probably a dirty air filter. It was really dusty. I tend to be the first guy on the loop, so I don't usually have an issue with dust. So I'm trying to reason with myself, well, it's dusty, probably air filter's packed up full, you didn't change it last night, you know, all of these things in my head. So I get to the last section and I notice I'm really down on power, and I come out of this section where I normally wheelie, and there's not enough power to wheelie the bike. Like from 62 horsepower, I'm probably down to like 23 horsepower, but it's still running. So in my head, I'm thinking dirty air filter, going slow. Am I somehow loading up a plug? I got carbon. What's really going on with this motorcycle? So finished the event. I took a 5 because the bike stalled, something that it never does. So I'm running through my head on all this stuff. So I come home, I start doing some research, and I find that the filter right in here is something that's a 10-hour time change item. So I thought, well, okay, I'll change that out. Never changed it out. So you separate this, separate that, and just like you would do for your tank, and there's a little cone filter in there, like I think it's like 5 or 10 microns. But in my service binder for the motorcycle, they gave me 4 of them. And so I just took one. You know, you have to kind of pick it out with a pick. And I got it out, and then I put a brand new one in and hooked everything back up and went to start the bike. Exact same result. Hard start. Matter of fact, I couldn't even get it to start. So I thought, okay, I know something's wrong. So what do? I go to YouTube. I do some searches, and then I found out that, like, oh, there's filters on the pump. Yeah, it makes sense. And it really doesn't make any sense to troubleshoot this one, because in the system, here's what we would have in the tank. So this would be mounted back in the back part of the tank, and then this would drop down and look something like that in the tank, if I'm getting that on camera. But here's what comes out of the bottom of your tank. Here's the quick disconnect right here that we see right here. And I happen to have a spare tank and a spare pump that I use for my adventure tours. It's like a 3.1 gallon, but I bought a brand new pump and had everything set up. So I just have to take one out, put the other one on. So I went ahead and tested the new tank with the brand new pump and everything. And I had found that that was the fix. And it makes sense, because really how this whole system really works is we have a filter in here, and this is put together with a little tab. So you got to take a screwdriver and push these in and separate that, and then this body will pull out, and there's a filter inside of here, and then there's this filter right here. I've sent for new parts. They're not in yet, but I thought I would just get this out. I know a lot of guys are doing Barstow to Vegas, 2-day ride over a Thanksgiving weekend. So if you have not done maintenance on your bike and your bike's at 60 hours, I would say for sure go ahead and change these filters before you go do that ride, or going to go do a long ride that's put you out somewhere. A lot of times we do a Death Valley run. It's 180 miles. And when you're halfway through, you're 90 miles from anything. So like, it's real crucial that your bike runs. So you have these filters in the tank. Then you come out here, and this is kind of like your last catch before you go to the fuel injector. Now, I've seen a lot of fuel injectors lately coming up with guys doing tours of fuel injectors clogged up, and they're reverse flowing it to try to blow that out. In my thoughts, your filter inside the tank, those 2 filters have to be totally dirty. And then this one has to be dirty for something to get through it to get you plug your fuel injector. So that's something to keep in mind. I think I spent something like $18 from Chaparral Motorsports to have those 2 sent out. Here's something that they run this type of clamp. And it uses pliers like this. I got this off of Amazon, and I don't have any links or anything for it, but you can find it. Here's what the kit looks. Ear clamp kit. See if you can see that. Quick setters ear clamp kit. And I've used this. I've had this for a couple of years, but I did get it off of Amazon. And I'll be using that to replace these two little clamps. Now, if you don't want to buy a kit like this, you can do it with hose clamps, but they're not as efficient of a clamping system as these are, and it's just a much more professional way to do it. And you know, you make your choice on that. But what I'm getting at is, if you have not done any fuel maintenance on this motorcycle, and I'm thinking, I'm always super religious about making sure nothing gets down in the tank. So doing a little further research and a little further reading, I guess there's graphite brushes in the pump, and what happens over time, they'll start breaking down, and that's what clogs the filter. So it's not always just about what's going down in your tank. It's actually the pump itself that's breaking in or breaking down, that's clogging the filters. So it is a time change item. I think the book recommends something like 20 or 30 hours to do it. But I got about 68 out of my last one. So somewhere around the 60 marker, I'll probably just, I don't put a ton of hours on this motorcycle, but somewhere around 60 hours, I'll change that over again. What a wonderful motorcycle, and the fuel injection is the way to go, but it is one more thing that we may not be thinking of on a fuel injected motorcycle versus a carburetor. I've never had to deal with anything like this. Had one fuel filter, and that was because I put it in line. And once again, I think I never changed that in like 4 years on my last bike. So hopefully this will help you guys out. Once again, if you guys like this type of thing, hit like and subscribe. If you got any questions or comments, hit me up below. Let me know what you think. Hopefully this will help you out and give you a little bit more understanding, because I was, you know, as much as a mechanic and a fabricator and designer and all that shit that I am, this is something that I didn't consider, and maybe what I really need to start doing is reading the manual cover to cover and take some notes on what I need to do on maintenance. But that's going to be it for now. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I'm Tim Roble. Catch you here next time.